Hey guys, before we get into this video, I'd like you to just take this second and fully exhale. Come back to that feeling where your body is completely relaxed. Do you feel what just shifted? Did you feel that when you fully exhaled and allowed your body to relax, everything felt lighter, everything felt easier, and it felt like you set down a burden? Let's dive into that in this video. Hey guys, it's John sitting here in the studio. I hope you're having a fabulous day. I know that I absolutely am. Yesterday, the interview with Alex Ferrari came out, and it was just a wonderful experience, and I'm so glad to be here now. In that video, I talked a lot about the concept of exhaling and the idea of releasing fear. You know, the exhale is not just biological; it's a spiritual pathway. It's a release of fear itself. The Buddha said the secret to enlightenment is the eradication of fear, and when we have fear, we store air in our lungs to either fight or flight. And this is the direct pathway back to peace, is to literally let the air out and tell your body to relax. People will often do breath work in spirituality and spiritual movements. But it's interesting that the inhale, the exhale. The inhale draws us in, and you realize when you inhale, you literally are feeling yourself to kind of tighten because you're drawing that air in. When you exhale, you're completely releasing. You're letting that stuff go. The struggle is that inhale is survival. We see something happening, we get afraid, we suck a bunch of air into our lungs. If you're a parent, you know that moment. You know that moment when your toddler almost smacks their head on the coffee table and everybody in the room went, because they're drawing air into their lungs. They're drawing air into their lungs to have the ability to be able to run fast. They're storing air for survival, and for survival not only for them, but for the person, this child that they love. When we exhale, we go, oh God, thank you, it's so much better. We feel so much lighter when we let the air out. Inhaling and exhaling are both necessary for life, obviously, but when we inhale in the intensity of emotion, we literally are tensing the body as we do it. But the exhale releases all of the toxins, and it signals that your body is safe. It tells your body that it is safe in this moment, in the present moment. When you look at that idea of the present moment, you can't do anything in the past, you can't do anything in the future. You're only living in the present. You're only living in the now. And in living in the now, what's happening is you're literally going to be creating this experience of, am I tense or am I relaxed in this moment? And your outer experience will be based upon your belief about the moment, and your breath will be a response to that. Spiritually, the inhale, it can symbolize effort, and the exhale symbolizes release. Drawing something in is like, really kind of tying it into your body. Exhaling engages the parasympathetic nervous system, and your heart rate slows down, your stress hormones decrease, your mind naturally becomes more present. Actors on Broadway, if they're standing on stage in front of 1,000 people and they forget their lines, they're trained to exhale and relax all their muscles, and all of their lines come right back to their head, because what happens is they shut off the survival mechanism of fear, and they just tell themselves they're safe by giving the exhale and relaxing the muscles, and their conscious mind comes back into play. Their cognitive reasoning becomes part of their present moment, and the mind naturally becomes more present. I often tell people that God is found at the bottom of every breath. Well, the bottom is at the exhale, when we're fully relaxed, when we're fully safe, because if God is love, we're safe in God's arms. And the pause after the exhale creates stillness. We just feel that feeling. In that stillness, peace arises within our body, and that peace is a reflection of love itself. Fear, separation, and the illusion is broken by breath. We have that fear, we have that separation, we have this illusion that things are going out to get us. But fear in the present moment is only an emotional reaction. It's an emotional reaction to past experience and an expectation that something negative will happen in the future. Fear in this moment is just an emotional reaction. And what's the reaction? The fight or flight response. What does the fight or flight response do? It sucks a bunch of air into our lungs and we hold it. When we choose to consciously exhale and let that air out, we literally are telling our body we're safe. Fear thrives in the illusion of separation from love and God, and all of those fears, all of those ideologies Even that child, that toddler who almost smacks their head on the coffee table, we gasp because this is a representation of love for us. That's an opportunity. That child can get really seriously hurt, and that is a child we love. And so, we have that expression. All of our lives in most ideologies, we're conditioned to believe that we're separate from love, separate from the divine, and we're here to struggle to find it and to get it. And that belief manifests into a constant anxiety. We have some level that we're holding air in our lungs all the time because we have these ideas. Now, in the Psalms, it says, "Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil." This idea of coming down into this lower consciousness area where death is a possibility. It doesn't say the valley of death, it says the valley of the shadow of death, the idea of death, the belief in death. We come down into this consciousness and we have this expression of we can die and things can harm us and unloving things can happen here. And when we exhale, we realize that love is always there because we feel it at the bottom of that exhale. We feel it in that moment of that release of that anxiety. And the exhale interrupts the cycle of fear. So the exhale is the antidote to fear. It softens the grip of panic. It shifts the attention away from fearful thought loops. We go on down these rabbit holes of thought on fear, and we start looking for the reasons and the answers and the hows and the whys and the whatnots. And the simple exhale brings you back to the here and now. The Buddha said the secret to enlightenment is the eradication of fear. And when you find that space of the eradication of fear can be found in simply an exhale, I've shut off the fear in the now. Well, what happens is you've created a moment of fearlessness, a loving moment of fearlessness. And that loving moment of fearlessness becomes a part of your past because what happens is your subconscious mind is the underlying current beneath your past experiences. It's the things we believe because of experience. But that means that our subconscious mind is made from our conscious mind. And that means that in this moment, if we choose to exhale, if we choose to be in love and be in the peace, we're creating a moment which is going to become experience. And that experience, the more of those moments of experience we stack back there, the underlying belief changes and the subconscious mind changes, and we release the past. Oftentimes people will go into hypnotherapy or things or just simply therapy for trying to psychotherapy even for trying to overcome their past. But all they're really doing is they're anchoring themselves to the past. They're not really releasing. The release happens in the present because it's the only moment you have, and you must, in this moment, understand that here and now is the expression. In my interview with Alex, I ended with the quote, "Until you acknowledge you're the author of your own story, you'll be a character in someone else's." Well, all of your past experiences that give us these underlying beliefs usually have someone else involved, and we're reacting to the story of that past experience. But we can change in the now and create anything. This concept of just simply letting go and exhaling, it grounds you in the here and now because it is something you consciously chose in the now. In my world, I do something called sitting in love. Now, people say, well, isn't that just meditation? That is a definition. That's a word. I don't use the word meditation on it because there are so many versions of meditation these days. There are so many ideas of what meditation is, and people will argue and become zealots about their own. I call it sitting in love because after 25 years of study of spirituality and meditation, I found that all of them, all of the methods, all the modalities, all the techniques brought me back to one single moment. It was the moment when I set down the method, modality, or technique and just let go. I just exhaled. I came back to that feeling. And what I do is now is this room that I'm in right now, this chair, you can't see it's down beside me here, is what I call my sit in love chair in my sit in love room. I come in here and I sit down in this chair and I just fully relax and I allow myself to feel that feeling. Remember in the story of Adam and Eve, they ate from the tree of knowledge. They got kicked out of paradise. They got in their heads and out of their feelings. And the feelings is the direct communication. God speaks to us in feelings, not thinkings. So my sitting in love method for me is just coming in and doing a reboot back to my truest self, which is love, because I'm one with God, as are you. And it's our fear that keeps us from experiencing it. And when you look at the exhale and how simple it is, people say it can't be that simple, John. it can't be that simple. But a simple exhale drops you right out of the fight or flight response. In that moment, you feel this sense of relaxation, this sense of relief. And that feeling is the oneness with love, because your natural state is love. Your foundation is love. There's nothing external required. There's no mantra. There's no counting breaths. None of that's required. It comes back to the idea of just simply letting go and feeling, shutting off fear so you can experience. The secret to enlightenment is the eradication of fear. Then shut off fear. And this is not new information. This is old information. Yogis had pranayama, which was about exhaling, releasing. Monks had silent breath prayers. Indigenous cultures, rhythmic breathing rituals. That was very, very common. Even Native American, chanting. That is exhaling with sound. And the simplicity of this idea was often overshadowed by doctrine. Religions added complexity and ritual, but the essence was always the presence through breath. It was always coming back to this here and now. Even in the Bible, when Jeshua came back to the upper chamber after the crucifixion, what did he do? He breathed on them. Well, if he breathed on them, that means it's an exhale. He let them feel the feeling of love, right? And breath became the equalizer. Everyone breathes, regardless of your belief. There's no barrier culture that says I can't breathe. If your culture says you can't breathe, your culture is not going to last very long, really, if you think about it. Breath proves that our shared humanity. We're all one. We all breathe. We all eat. We all do those things. And the comedy of forgetting to breathe. Humans complicate what's already natural. We hold our breath under stress. We forget to pause and release. It's really kind of absurd when you really think about it. Laughter is an exhale in disguise. Think about that for a second. When you are truly laughing, you are exhibiting the two key elements of every spiritual experience. You're 100% present. You're 100% fearless. In that moment, that belly laugh empties your lungs. And after laughter, tension is gone and your mind is clear. Because in that laughter, you weren't thinking about the past or the future or the threat analysis. You were having fun and laughing. Joy and connection fill the space that is always there, because joy and connection is always there. It's only the fears that keep us from seeing it. But we have the ability to release the fear just by the simple exhale.
And now, a quick word from our sponsor. Coffee Time with John. This channel runs off coffee, so get your coffee and tea at johnsjoe.com.
I used to do a comedy sword fighting show called Hack and Slash at Renaissance festivals years ago. And there's this one moment in one of our shows. It was called the Hack and Slash Ale Extravaganza Show. It was our tribute to sword fighting and beer. Thank you very much. But there was a moment in there where our final fight we used to call it the hyperdrive fight, because it was the most intricate fight we did, and it was the fastest fight we did. When we came to the start of that fight, we had this moment where we had these comedy prayers to God, to King, to country, for beer. And we would kneel down for that prayer. And in that moment, if either one of us got in our head about the choreography we were about to do, we would screw it up. But in that same moment, if we just knelt and we just simply exhaled and blanked our mind, the fight would go flawlessly. Because we already choreographed it, we already knew it, and it was already in our muscle memory. It was just a matter of not getting in our head to screw things up, getting out of the tree of knowledge and into paradise, into that feeling, that ease. When I was doing my 6 USO tours, I was in Ramadi, Iraq, and a soldier came up to me after one of the presentations. He said, "Mr. Davis, I was in a firefight this morning, and I want to thank you for coming here, because this afternoon for 2 hours, I was able to forget that." And what did we do for 2 hours? We brought a comedy show. We got them to laugh for 2 hours. He shut off the experience of his morning by being in the present moment and laughing and exhaling. And that's proof to me that humor heals the soul, because that being present and fearless is coming back to your authentic self. It's who you truly are. I've had people, if you go on my John of New channel right now, which soon will be changing. This page I'm about to mention will be gone soon. On the page where you book a private session with me, at the very bottom, there are testimonials. And you go back and just read some of those testimonials, because you'll find people who simplified their life, who literally started just realizing that the doctrines and dogmas of old and new meant nothing, and they could literally exhale in the now, and that breath changed their experience. People in high stress situations are transformed by one breath. Oftentimes people who are highly empathic have a hard time going out in public. I'm a highly empathic person. What do I do when I go out and I go to the store? Before I go into the store, I exhale. What happens is I exhale and I naturally smile, because the feeling is, it makes me feel good. I walk through the store with that feeling, and I watch people, and they do double takes and they smile at me. And children laugh with me, and I tease, we joke, we have a great time. Love shopping, right? But it's all about my state and what I'm bringing to that space. The exhale created the experience of love and compassion, and people could feel it. About 3 weeks ago, I was in Home Depot buying something, and well, I went in to buy something and they didn't have it. And I was walking out of the store past the registers, and as I walked out past the registers, the cashier on the other register on the other side, she says, "Well, there's a nice guy." And I turned and she's looking at me. I said, how do you know? I might be a butthead." And she laughed. And she says, "Yeah, I can just tell. You're just a nice guy." And what was I doing? I had exhaled, and I was just being in the space of fully accepting and smiling at people and being open for people. The exhale removed the gap of fear, and she could feel it. You ever known a charismatic person? They walk into the room and you can literally see them brighten the room up. That's because they're present and they're fearless. They have no fear, so they're just open. And people go, who's that? Because they can feel it. In my regression, if you go on my YouTube channel, there's a video. You could use the search function and you could find it, called 2 Moments from My Regression. And you hear me walking up to the crowd that Jeshua was in, and I literally am going, oh my God, you can feel him. What was it? What is this? Oh my God. Ah, ah. I was exhaling because I could feel the love. I could feel the purity of love. And that is the charisma that we're talking about. He was present, he was fearless, and so you could feel him. And that gap disappeared. It changed everything. I was suddenly overwhelmed by this feeling of this purity of love. And it became a spiritual turning point for me. It let me release the despair. It brought me back from the despair and showed me that love is always available. It's always within me. It strengthened my faith and simplicity. But what strengthened it more was when, in the regression while under hypnosis, I said, it's all so simple, we have a hard time comprehending it. So I measure everything against simplicity, and the simplicity of a simple breath can bring us back to this present moment now. And anyone can access it. It doesn't require training. There's no cost. There's no teacher needed. Every person already has it. The only thing you have to do is acknowledge it and do it intentionally, doing it consciously. And that practice of conscious exhaling, takes your moment and changes it. And all it is this. And you probably see as I do that, my body relaxes. I come back to that place and it feels good. Oftentimes it makes me yawn. Pardon me. Sorry if I made you yawn. Just take your time to feel the release in the body, and take each day and give yourself daily resets. Give yourself momentary resets. Realize that you can exhale in any moment. Someone comes up to you out of anger or judgment or fear or before you respond, exhale. Be an action hero, not a reaction zero. Exhale first, and then listen. Because if you exhale and you come back to the place of love, listening is the most loving thing you can do, because you can find out what their fear is and what their pain is, and you can offer solutions for that pain. And the idea of whenever you're feeling mad, sad, frustrated, angry, realize that those feelings all come from fear. They're all fear oriented. And all you have to do when you're in any of these negative emotions is exhale first and use it before you go to bed at night. Get in bed, and most people get in bed and they're thinking about their day and the things they did. Exhale and just be in that moment for a second. You'll fall asleep faster. And think about that. So I've been talking about this exhale for 25 years because I learned this 25 years ago, 1999. It is life changing. It changes your entire experience. Ask yourself this: are my spiritual practices so complex that I have to focus on the complexity rather than the simple exhale? Think about that for a moment. Create your own practice and realize if God is love and we are coming to know God more fully, would it be hard? No, it would be so simple. It's so simple we have a hard time comprehending it. It's what we believe about the present moment, about our experience that we experience. Negative people see a negative world because they're holding air in and they believe the world is negative and so they see it. You can live everyday joy, exhale by exhale. Integrate this into your daily activities. Washing dishes. I use a machine. Thank you very much. But if you are one of the people who washes dishes, take that moment to exhale. Go. Whew. Don't think of this as a chore. Think of this as what I'm doing. Exhale during commutes. You get in and the guys are cutting you off. When someone cuts me off in traffic, the first thing I say is, "Oh, I feel so sorry for them," because they're so stressed out that they have to speed and rush around and they have to feel like they have to get ahead of somebody. That's fear. That's power, right? I don't let them take my power. I stay in the moment. And when you're at work and things are getting heavy and you can feel the weight on you, exhale. It's just information coming in and release the emotional triggers of them. And then once you do, because you're in a more calm state, you can shift the arguments into calm dialogue. You can turn it into well, let's figure out how to fix this. What can we do? Each exhale clears the page of your story. And you don't have to continue the story that's being brought to you. You can make your own story and create your own experience about it. Each breath is a new beginning. Once you take this into your daily practice, life becomes a rhythm of joy. And a world built on an exhale will expand out because the people around you will be less stressed out because you are the bright spot in the world. You can't save the world, but you can make your part of the world so bright the world chooses to save itself around you. And once you start making that part of the world so bright, the collective stress around you dissolves. And decisions made from fear are now being made from a calm presence. There's less conflict in the world, there's more cooperation. And I would love to see it in the future if schools would get their kids to simply exhale and get our children in a place where when they are having temper tantrums, just teach them to simply exhale. Let them know they can set that down. Feel that anger you're feeling, Bobby? Let's put that anger down by just simply letting it go by blowing it out. We can have those sort of early childhood experiences of teaching them the coping mechanism of releasing fear now. And listening is figuring out the emotional intelligence of going, oh, that's their fear. Oh, this is my fear. And what did Yoda say in Star Wars? Oh, named must your fears be before banish them you can. We can name them. We can get the emotional intelligence of realizing what is fear, and we can release it. Imagine if you started doing this, and all the people around you started doing this, and then next thing you know, the people around them started doing this, and it's like that old shampoo commercial. They'll tell two friends, and they'll tell two friends, and so on, until eventually we have a collective exhale in the entire world. Imagine global exhale events, millions breathing together for peace and the energy of fear replaced by love that is found at the core of all of us. The path back to love is as close as your next breath. Take a few moments to just simply exhale many times a day, as often as you can, and be in the moment of actually consciously experiencing it. And if this kind of message is important to you, or this kind of message rings true to you, go ahead. I'm going to do the classic YouTube thing and tell you to like and subscribe and share right below. But more importantly to me, if this is important to you, share it with others. Go out there and show them, because it's not about the YouTube channel. It's about changing the world, and we can only do that one person at a time. And the first person it has to be is you. You're the one who has to change your part of the world. You're the one who has to make your part of the world so bright that the people around you choose to save their part of the world or make their part of the world brighter. It really comes down to your present moment beliefs. Be the change you want to see in the world. That's what the Gandhi man said. And so take that moment and just live into that. And we can change the world for the better. And that's my thought on this. You guys have a great day. and I'll talk to you soon. See ya.